So there are very important two announcements before we really move on. The first announcement is that Monday, the lecture that we missed, is now available on YouTube, and I shared its link yesterday on your course shell. Also, I shared the same link on um, the Teams link. So I hope you had a chance to look at it. If you were unable to look at that lecture till now, I would highly recommend that please have a look at that, because that is our week 6 part 1 folder, part 1 file that I have shared over there. So I would be expecting most of you, all of you, to have a look at that lecture for our week 6 content. Number 1. Now the number 2 announcement, which is rather more important than this one. Um, so looking at the attendance and looking at the people looking videos or the recorded lectures later on, I have come to the conclusion that I would be conducting attendance in both of the sessions, right? For example, this is ZEE, and we have a guest Winnie from NBB also. So it's basically now common for every group that I would definitely be available online on your first day as well, which is Monday. And Monday, that's I think 3:15 or whatever is your class time. So I think 3:20. Yeah. So I would be there online at 3:20, and of course, lecture will be recorded from the previous one, like the NBB lecture. I will just I will share that one, but I will be there for 2 reasons. Number 1 reason, Vinicius, that is for NBB. That's for NBB. I'm talking about right now. You are in ZEE sections, by the way. You know what I mean? So actually, yeah. So listen about that. ZEE section students who are from ZEE. Again, we have one guest from NBB. And yeah, so your first session for the week is on Monday at 3:20. Is it correct or wrong? I'm talking to ZEE section students. Do you know that our first session on schedule, if you see, you will find that on Monday it's 3:20. Tanish, thank you very much for agreeing on that. Now, the point is that I'm just, that's why I'm recording also, if someone is looking at the recording later on, that I would be there online on 3:20 also on Monday in your first session. Number 1. Number 2, I'll mark the attendance. First of all, there will be attendance for that session as well. Point number 2. Point number 3 is that I will be there for maybe good 1 hour or so, and I will discuss all the problems related to your test, any assignment or discussions that you want to do. I hope I have made my message clear to everyone, not for you, for someone who is looking at the recording. So attendance, if you know, because I've come to this decision because I have seen that there are very few people turning up for the class. There are very few people who are even looking at the lectures. So I don't know what they are doing anyhow. But what I will do I'll make sure that of course, this lecture will always be online, and will be a synchronous lecture, because we have that with the ZEE sections online, live session with you today. But anyhow, your first session, which is an online session, which is an asynchronous one, you have video for that, like on Monday. But I would join that session at your time, 3:20, and we will discuss if you have any problems related to tests. Sometimes I get emails, of course, and I get messages that I had problem in test 2, test 3, whatever. So you can discuss your test problems over there. So I will be there online. So in one way or other, your both sessions will be there, and I would be definitely there. And again, just reiterating one more time that I will conduct attendance in both sessions from now onward. Is that message clear to everyone other than Tanish also, like the ZEE students? Because Tanish has just said yes on my one of the thing. And that's the real interesting thing, that some people, even they do not, reply to my messages. Okay, thank you, Clev. Thank you, Tanish. So Clev and Tanish, still these two have just replied. I'm expecting others to come on. Okay, engineer. So right. So again, Monday will be another, Monday will be sort of a normal session for everyone, for you, and there I will have discussed. Yeah, exactly, Tanish. You're right. So 3:20, you have to attend that class. And as I said, there will be two things. One of the things will be attendance that I'll mark maybe in the beginning of 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then I will be there to discuss problems related to your test quiz and anything at all. You know what I mean, Tanish? So that's the point that I wanted to make. So be very sure. Like it's same for the NBB, it's same for the other section, that your asynchronous section will also be marked as attendance, and I will be there. And why I will be there, I will be discussing your problems related to your quiz. Anyhow, I think I have made my point clear. Now we will just start discussing about the part 2 of this week's lecture. Okay, so we are already recording. I'll just share my screen shortly. Just give me a second. I'm just opening up the folder. So, and no, these are the things that are for marks, and there will be one final assessment that will happen towards the end of semester. That would be of 20% grade if you have seen addendum. But other than that, of course, there is nothing that will mark you. So assignment and tests, these are the things that will be marked over there. Does that answer your question? And okay, thank you. Right, so let me share my screen. I'm expecting that now you are looking at my screen and Visual Studio Code. Is that correct? And is that correct after your yes? Okay, thank you. So this is, so if you had a chance to look at the Monday lecture that I was talking about just now, we have done like a Wikipedia page copying, like, we have tried to make a Wikipedia page interesting. We have tried to make a Stack Overflow page. And we just, in our this week's first session, which is a recorded one that I shared yesterday. These are the notes, and they are very interesting notes. I have just, shared these notes. So if you look at the recording, you will find all these important things over there. So that is something that we have done for the first part of this week. Now, so these are the files that you will find over there. There is a tree file so now today what I'm doing for the second part of our week lecture, what I'm doing that I will call this page page as fab17.html, with our today's date, respect to our date. I'm just calling this fab17, and I'll be talking about some new things over here. I'm not touching what we have discussed yesterday. So today I'll just talk about. So I hope everything is clear. Now we are. So this is the part 2. So I can just write week. This is week 6, part 2. The topic starts part 2 from here. Right on. So the first thing that I want to discuss. Yes, Vinny, I know that it's much better, and there is a reason behind that. I don't. So my internet is now very much better, and everything is there. So week 6, part 2. So we are starting this one for today. And today, first of all, I'll talk about tables in HTML. Tables in HTML. That's a very interesting topic, and tables are one of the very, very interesting and important component of HTML pages, because we use tables for a lot of purposes. And I'll talk about that. What are those different purposes for which we usually use these tables for? Right. So to display the tabular data, tabular data, we need table. So when sometimes you want to just show some comparison, sometimes you want to show some listings, sometimes you want to show. So this all things will be just done, or we do usually all these things by using the tables in HTML. Now HTML tables have different tags that we'll be using. First of all, the first and foremost important is the table tag, which is basically the root, like which creates the tables. Which creates the table, and I'll give you examples shortly, don't worry. Then there is another element over there. So this element is the optional one, and it is basically the title of the table. So it's an optional one. You can just give title by some other ways as well, but use caption. Then comes T head. This element does what? These are the rows, at the top of the table. You can call it header row or something. In table, T head, table head. Then we have another one, T body for table, and rows that form the main body of the table. Right? So main body of the table is created by that one. Then we have another one, T foot. And of course, its name suggests, so rows at the bottom table, the footer rows, the footer rows or something. So these are the main elements that make up the structure of the structure of the table. And as I said, I'll give you some examples. Now, when we create table, if you see rows, we are talking about rows. So when we are creating table, actually what we do is that we create rows. Oh, what is that? Who is this? Unmuted. I don't know. Anyhow, so we create. So to create rows, we have an element which is called TR. It is a single row in table. A single row in table. Then we have TD. It is called a single cell. It's generally called a cell. And I will tell you what is this. This is called table data. Like the short form of table data. Usually you won't find that, or you might find it somewhere else. So it is basically to make a column, single cell, or specifically you say column. When you want to create column, you use TD over there. Right? And then we have another smaller one that we use sometimes, and it is called a header, and it is different from T head. And I'll tell you what is that header. So maybe title of the column, and there is a specific nature of this TH. When you give something in TH, it is already bold and centered. So when you give something in TH, it is already bold and centered. That's a very interesting fact about that. So this is all the theoretical notes. And now I'll talk about, I don't want to talk about this. In February 17, I'll talk about this. So let's see, I am first discussing tables. Tables in HTML. So I'm just giving that title. Right. So I'm telling you how to create tables, for example. Right. So let's see what type of table I want to create. I want to create, for example, I will say table tag. Right. So I want to create a table in which, for example, I've just told you there is an optional one which is called caption. So if I say caption, for example, and I say grades in WEB222, something like that. I've just given a caption for that table, and that's, as I said, this is an optional one. You can just leave that out. Right now, you remember that we have talked about there is something called T head to make the table header. So table header, in table header we create those rows which will become the top rows or the title rows of something. So in TH I would create a row first of all, and in row, you remember I have talked about we can use TD to create columns. You remember we have talked about that. We create TD to column, but here I want to create header rows, so I can use TH over there. So I'll use TH, and I say name, for example. Another TH, I can say registration number, something like that. And then TH, and I can say marks. Right, so three columns I'm just, three columns I'm just creating. Now, let's run this file, fab17.html. Now, you would see that, okay, it looks like very bad. Not bad, it does not look like a table. And I'll tell you why. Because there is an obsolete attribute of this table that we usually do not use, but I will use it over here just to show you, which is border in table. And we give this border, and you remember, we use CSS for all these things. But you see border is coming in red. It means that border is an obsolete tag. Anyhow, that's an absolute attribute. Just don't worry about that one. So border is equal to 1. If you give this border is equal to 1, which is obsolete over here, but that will show you at least the table. You see, table will start getting visible. I will remove this border, and by the way, we apply all this styling by using the style sheets, which we are not using till now, but I'll talk about that later on. So border is equal to 1. So what I have done, you see grades in WEB222 has become a caption for this one. Yeah. So Vinny, why it is highlighted in red in my Visual Studio? Visual Studio is telling me that this is an obsolete attribute. You cannot use it. Yeah, you got it. So whenever something gets red in your Visual Studio, Vinny, understand that this is something that is not accepted. That is basically an obsolete thing. Anyhow, okay. So T head is complete. So T head is complete. Now I would create T body. I want to create T body. I want to create the body of the table. Now, body of the table will also contain some rows, TR. And how many columns will be there? Of course, TD, the first column, because now it's not a heading. So I say, for example, Alan Smith, my favorite fictitious name, and then TD registration number 1234, whatever. And TD, this last one, marks out of 100, for example, and I say 89, something like that. You see, now my table has started to develop, has started to create. Now, if I want to create multiple rows, of course, I want to put some multiple students data. I'll copy this, and inside the body, I'll just paste that. And let's change it to Bob Smith, and let's change it to 4321, and let's change this marks to 90 or something like, 90 or something like that. Right, so now I have 2 rows. If I just keep on increasing these rows, so I have now 3 rows. Now, Chris Smith, something like that, just to change the values. And you can just keep those values as well. So now I'm getting this table, which is basically showing me the data. Right, so it is showing me the data. And how I have created that, one of them is a header, T head, and inside that I use TH. So do you experience something interesting? That when I use TH, it is centered and it is all bold. Do you see that? This is all centered, but my other text is not centered and it's not bold, by the way. So if my table gets, you see that it's not centralized, it's all left aligned. But don't worry about that alignment. As I said, I will be talking about that in CSS alignment and all those things, all those issues we do in the CSS. But anyhow, do you understand the table? Are you understanding this table, everyone? Okay, Clef, thank you very much for the feedback. Right, so wonderful. So this is how we create table in HTML. That's wonderful. So this is one example. And now this marks my complete table from this point to this point. And please remember, this border is an obsolete attribute. And of course, since it is obsolete, so if I take it out, what happens is that you just lose the lines, but table is still there. Remember, table is always still there, but you lose the lines, of course, because border is equal to 1. I have just taken away. But I would suggest right now, just use that with this red color, because this red color is telling you that it is. Can you sort lines automatically? Oh, so we do not have any facility to sort lines. What do you mean by sort lines? Sort naming you're talking about? You mean that Alan, Bob, and Chris like changing the order? Oh, so there is nothing automatic over here. Yeah, so alphabetically we cannot do that, Vinny, because HTML is really dumb in that situation. We will be needing help from maybe JavaScript, we'll be needing help from something else if you want to implement some such kind of logic, So HTML is dumb in that way. HTML does not have any logics of changing the order or doing all those things. Vinny, I hope you're making sense of this, this statement. So that's basically the thing. Anyhow, so if you see here that this is a table that we have created, so I'll just keep this table over here, and I'll try to create new tables, and I'll show you some very interesting tables. Okay, so let me take one very interesting situation, and I'll tell you that what type of table I want to create. So now I would like to create a table which should be like this. I hope you can see my drawings. Okay, that's wonderful. So for example, I say that, right, so let's do that. And like this. I want to create a table like this. So I'll put A over there. I'll put B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Now, first of all, I would like to create this kind of table, right? So how I would do that? That's a very interesting part, and let's start making that table. So, okay, first of all, table, and again, just doing a bad thing, and you know why we are doing this bad thing, so that I can see the table. So I'll just doing this bad thing. Border is equal to this one. Okay, so first let's consider A and B are the headers, because I have not created any headers, but let's create that as a header. So header has a row TR, which has TH, and the first TH has A, and the second TH has B. Now, interestingly, there is an interesting fact over here. If I create the, okay, I'll just give a caption as well, just to make it separate from that. Caption, a new table, number 1, right? A new table has come, but rather than that, I'll just put an HR over there as well. Right, so it's a new table, and it's very short right now, because that's now there is an interesting fact. This A is spanning 2 columns. Do you see that? This A is spanning 2 columns. So the tag which is creating this A, I'll come to this TH and I'll say something. I'll say, okay, call span equal to 2. Why? Because this A is spanning 2 columns. Is it making sense to you? This is spanning 2 columns. Now, if I do that, you'll see that I have just done that one, and right now I don't see any effect. Now, this first row is completed, which had 2 elements, and I'm saying that the A column will span 2 columns. Call span. Okay, so T head is completed. Now I want to work on T body, and in T body I'll create first row. Okay, so first row will contain how many TDs? Of course, 3 TDs, and I can do TD multiplied by 3. I can get 3 TDs. I don't know if I told you this shortcut or not, but even if not, you know now. Yeah, this is the shortcut. Yes, Vinny. And if I did not tell you, I'm telling you right now. So you see here that now, do you see that my table looks like very much like that one, which is coming over there? And now I can just create another row. So Vinny, just for you and for everyone, how to do that? Just write TDE multiply by, for example, if I say 10, you will get 10 TDs. Yes, Vinny, like this. So if I say TD multiply by 3, I'll get 3 TDs over here. And any code, and I'll tell you, this is very interesting shortcut. I'll be telling you those shortcuts as well later on. So F and G and H. Let's do that. So table is here. So got everyone? So this is spanning. This is called spanning, call spanning. Now, rather than that, if my, for example, if I clear all drawings and I again create a drawing. So if I want to create the same table, I'll just want to create, for example, like this, that A is spanning 2 columns and B is also spanning 2 columns. So of course, if B is spanning 2 columns, there should be 2 of them. Or whatever, I'll just leave that one. This line, I'll leave that. I'm just telling you. So now, if that kind of thing happens, what I'll do, I'll come over here and I'll say B also call span 2. Call span 2. So B also call span 2, and of course now there will be 4 columns at the bottom. So I can write anything, A or anything, whatever. Right? So I'll have another TD over here, edit, and I can write U, whatever. So now you see that B is also spanning 2 columns. Now, same thing we can do for our like row spanning. So for example, if I want to create a table that is like this, A, B, and let's do another interesting thing. Make another row. C, D, E, and F. Now see here, If I want to create this type of table, I'll create a new one, right? I'll just create a new one. I'll copy this one and leave this over here because just to Control C, and I'll place an HR over here. And after that, I've just done Control D, and I'm saying, for example, row span example. Row span example, right? I'm just creating another table, a row span example. Now you see here, listen, because I will be giving one practice question to you, which you have to solve over here. Whenever you are given some question, you have to calculate first of all rows. How many rows are there? See, the first row. Let me take my pencil again. The first row contains, if I talk about this is in the first row. First row contains A and B. So my row 1 contains A and B. Agreed, everyone? Row 2 do not contain this A. It's basically spanning. Row 2 contains this C and D. This will become my row 2. And please remember this formula because I will be giving you a question. And this E and F, they make altogether, they make row 3. Does that make sense to everyone? They make row 3. Now, how to make that? So this one is the first row, this one is the second row, and this one is the third row, like that. Anyhow, now let's create that. Let's try to do that. So first of all, this A is now not spanning column, rather it is spanning rows. You know what I mean? So I will come over here, rather than doing call span, I say row span equal to 3. First of all, let's do that. It will become a very abnormal sort of thing. Don't worry. And now if you see B is spanning 2 columns, so it is good. B is good. No problems. Because the real thing will start from the row 2. So this is first row. A and B have appeared like this. But of course, this looks abnormal because we have to settle that one. Now, if you talk about what is in the second row, can anyone tell me what will be in the second row? Should I say that I will have only 2D in the second row, C and D? Understand everyone? C and D. So what I'll do, I'll just write this C and D. Save that. So C and D appear over there. But there is a problem. Why it is not spanning this? A is not spanning 3 rows. Did I write something wrong? Row span equal to 3. Why this A is not spanning this row? That's interesting. Row span equal to 3. Still not spanning. Oh, that's good. It's spanning the column, but when I say it span rows, row span, it's not spanning the rows. And what is the reason behind that? Quickly, let me just, even though I'm just doing that 100% right, but maybe I'm just doing row span and column span spanning, maybe spanning mistake or something like that. Okay, just let me see that. Oh, that should work fine. I'm just looking at a W3C example, and it's all correct. Row span. I know row span is not working. Anyhow, let me just check that. Just for nothing, I'm just checking it over here. If I come over here and I say something like row span equal to 2, yeah, you see that it's doing over there. But maybe I don't know why it's not working with TH. Maybe sometimes it happens. It might not be working with TH. So I'll convert that for the second. I'll convert that into TD. I don't know. It should not be the problem. It just never should be a problem. But let's see. Maybe it's not working with TH. Oh, sorry. I did at wrong place. Sorry. This table is this one. So let me just convert that into TD. And convert that into TD. Interesting. Did you see that it happened over there? But it's not doing it over here. Can I even see where I'm going wrong? Maybe I'm just making a silly mistake somewhere, which is not doing. Even though if I come over here and I say row span equal to 3, for example, you see that C is spanning the row, Why A is not ready to span rows? Anyhow, let me just check that. I'll just write this TR from all over start. You see that it is spanning, the C is spanning there. So I'll talk about in T8 and T head. I'll say, okay, TD, I'm just taking TD just for no reason, because I'm just checking that, and TDB. So see here, A and B have appeared, good. Maybe because A is in the header. That might be a valid reason. Maybe let's check that one. You might be right. You might be right. Let's check that one. Row span equal to 3. It's still not working. You see? That's wonderful. Okay, it is spanning the two columns, but good. Okay, let's do that. I'll check that one as well. Oh, yeah. So yes, you might be right. Maybe TD does like T head does not allow us to do something like that. Anyhow, we'll just not fight with that. And by the way, you know, this T head, T body, and everything. I can just show you something. Take everything away. I hate these tags, you know. So you can just use them without T head and T body as well. So you can create a table even as you know, as I said, this is an optional. You just take out the caption as well, and your table will be there. Anyhow, let's talk about this. So first row contains this A, which is spanning 3 rows, and B, which is spanning 2 columns. So far, so good, right? So B is spanning 2 columns, and this is spanning. Now, just I have to remove these 2 because these are just creating the problems now. Now I'll get my table definitely done with that one. Thank you. Who is that? It was Winnie. Winnie, thank you very much for just helping me out. And again, I've just taken away everything. T head, T body. You can work. You can create tables without damage even. Now, should I give something to you? Like again, you just remove that. As I said, that you don't need to use that T head, T body, and anything. Now you need to create this table. Everyone, I would like to have some code from you to create this table. Now, please, everyone, I will be silent for some time. I would like you to just write some code for this. A, B, C, D, E, and just populate it, whatever alphabet. And don't use this. And as I said, don't use that one. Just use that typical table. Don't use that those things. I'm waiting for your reply now. I'll pause the recording for a second. So this is how you do that. Like again, those who are like I'm really surprised that only two guys are just replying. Clev is just replying to me, and Winnie's actively replying to me. Looks like rest of the people are there just for, I don't know, for their names are there in attendance, but they are not never. So if you are unable to do something, you can just write down, I don't know, I'm not doing it, I'm doing it, something like that. So it looks like there are only 2 guys with me who are taking class. Anyhow, so you have to, as I said, you have to calculate the rows, number of rows. So if you see this is row number 1, which has, so I'll call 1, which has this A and B. So this is row number 1. Now, if you see row number 2 has these 2 elements, this C and D. So row number 2. And if you talk about row number 3, you have this element E and F. So these both are in 3. Now, if I see that when I have to create this row, I will create this like this. So A will be spanning 2 rows and B will be spanning 2 columns. Now, second row will be definitely will have only 2 values as being done by Winnie and Clev. So 2 values. And third row will have again 2 values, but since it is now not spanning anymore with A, it will be over there, and this cell will be spanning 2 columns, and then that will make it a complete table. So you will just make it over there like that. So can I get a yes, no from some others as well, other than this Winnie and Clev? Tanish, what is yes? Subin, what is yes? Did you do that? Got it. No, I didn't mean to go. You get it. I was okay. You're trying that anyhow. So Subin, if you're trying something, why don't you tell me that you're trying something? I'm continuously asking, please, someone coming up. No reply. No reply. No reply. So at least you should write that we are trying. Okay, Tanish, you have done that. Wonderful. That's good. So that's about tables, and we will be using tables a lot of time in our web pages, and we'll be just creating a lots of interesting things related to tables, and those things you will find really important. No problem, Subin. So let's now take a quick 5 to 7 minutes break. It's 2:16 in my clock, so I'll be back at around 2:21, 2:22, and let's discuss some more fun part because I have to discuss some more fun things today. So let's come back after the break. Okay. So after that, we have to just discuss one more thing, one very important thing, one very important component of our HTML pages, and I'll just keep this page as well as it is. And now what I want to start, or what I want to talk about, is forms in HTML, which is another very important component of any the web page, because forms are used to take input from user. Forms are used to take they are there to take input and do a lots of good things about that. So we'll be seeing that forms today. So first of all, why we use forms? Again, to take input from user. So that input is in many shapes. If you look at the Monday's lecture, I would just created some form elements over there, input box over there. But today I'll just talk about forms in general. So the tag that is used, the element that is used to create form is form element, this form element. And it has different attributes. We'll just talk about some of the attributes and some of the things over there.
Sir, we can see your screen.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. You cannot see my screen. No problem. I forgot to share my screen. Vinny, is it now visible? Hopefully. Okay. So as I said, forms in HTML, and we are just we'll be creating these forms, and forms will play an important role. As I said, they play a very important role in taking input from the user and things like that. So what I'll do is that rather than discussing forms again separately or its attributes separately, but let's talk about few of them. There is an input element that is used to create lots of input elements, and there are something called a button. Sometimes you create buttons over there, and there are multiple options. So what I'll do is that I'll come over here and we'll just start making a form. I'll just make another HR over here, and now here I'll give a heading, and I'll say forms in HTML. So from here onward, we are discussing the forms in HTML, right? So how to create a form? As I said, the first thing is the form tag. So you just write a form. Now form has some attributes which are very interesting. The first attribute is action attribute. What is action attribute? And I'll just keep on adding that. Action attribute tells us what to do when user submits the form. Now, there can be multiple actions that you want to take. Usually what happens is that there will be an HTML file, there will be some server-side file. So for example, I say data.php, something like that, a PHP file, or a file where you want to send your data when user submits on that. You know what I mean? So for example, action tells you what you want to do when someone submits that. So I'm just right now taking a fictitious name of data.php. So I'm saying that, okay, when user will submit the form, I want to send this data, the file of the data of the form to data.php, something like that. Now, there is another very important attribute of this form tag, which is called method. Now, method has two values. One of the value is basically get, and one of the value is post, and I'll talk about that in notes. So method attribute tells how to send the data. How to send the data. Now, it has two values. Number one is get. When we send data through get, it goes as part of URL. And again, this all might look a very, this might look very odd for you, but I'll give you examples shortly. So when we use this get method, the data goes as the part of the URL, and we can send a limited amount of data by that, right? Limited amount of data we can send, limited amount of data, right? Now the other method which we can use is basically called post method. When we use post method, the data goes as part of the body of the HTML document. Body of the document. And we can send a big amount of data by using post method. So we have these two methods. And I'll talk about both of the methods, and I'll show you in action that what one method does or what the other method does. I'll just show you all those happenings over here. Let's see here. So I'm saying that I want to send data, all submitted data through get method to data.php, which is a fictitious file which is not there, but I'll show you where we will see that. Now, in forms, there is, as I told you, there is an input element, but before that, there is another very important element which is called label. Label. What is this label? So label is basically, as its name suggests, I'll talk about this for later on, but let's first of all write. So for example, you say you write first name, and if I hit save, you see that first name is appearing as, for example, as a label or something that we have that we want to just use. So label is basically there, and I'll talk about this for shortly. Now input is a very, very important element of form. Input type is equal to text. Input has different type attributes. The first and the foremost, or usually which we use so many times, it is basically called input type is equal to text. Now, if I just leave this like this and I save that, so input is an element which is you remember, empty element. So it does not have any contents. So it's there. So you see that now I have an input box over there. Is that right? So I've created one label. This is the label, first name. And you might be thinking that what is the benefit of writing label? I could write a first name without any label or anything. You might be right, but you will see that shortly. You will see that what is that. So now every input ID, we try to give it an like input element. We try to give it an ID. So for example, I say first name. I'm giving an ID of first name. First name. Now listen, a very important thing. Whatever ID you give to your input box, if you give that same ID to for label, see what happens. A very important thing. So you see, when I come here and click on this, you get your cursor inside that one. That is one thing. Now, if I go and click on this first name, see what happens. Are you observing what is happening when for ID is the same? It will. I am clicking on first name and it is producing the effect on my form. Are you understanding that, everyone? That what it is doing? Sorry. What it is doing? It's doing what? It's basically, if you do label for is equal to, if you give the ID of any input box to this one, it will just technically go over there and it will be treated as that. So if I just refresh this page, you see nothing is highlighted. And if I click on that one, first name, it get highlighted. Or if I click on this one directly. Does that make sense to everyone? The benefit of defining a label, we should input first name on both fields. No, Vinny, this is wrong. This is wrong, Vinny. By defining or by giving the ID of an input box to for label, I am actually attaching this label with this input box. We need to try to understand that. What does that mean? If I want to input something over here, I need to come over and click over that. That's very fine. But now, if you have done that you have connected a label with this ID name, ID connection, you come to the label and click on the label and you will get your cursor blinking in the text box. Vinny, does that make sense to you? And not only Vinny, I'm asking to everyone. And I know everyone is sleeping and no one will be replying other than me. Okay, Clef, thank you. Clef, you are the second one who always reply. Thank you, Subin. Thank you very much for replying. So that's enough. So we have got, at least we have got third class and third member in the class. One. That's wonderful. Okay. So you see that it's basically one of the attribute. So ID is a very important attribute, not only for that, because we will be when we'll be accessing this in JavaScript, we'll be using ID to access that one. So that's very important. Now there are other attributes of this input box as well. One of the attributes, you see, when my page is loading, my form is not auto. So if I come over here and just I write, and I can do one thing, we can write its attributes like this, because this will give us a very good visual. So if I say autofocus, if I do that autofocus, so when I refresh this page, do you see what is happening? Automatically focus gets set on this one. So if you give any text box, when you see that whenever you just open a web page, you find that some text boxes are auto-focused. So if you do autofocus, your focus will automatically be set. You see here what I mean. If I remove this autofocus from here and I do refresh, it is not auto-focused over here. Now, if I come over here and I say autofocus and I hit save and I refresh this page, you see it's autofocus, getting autofocus. Now, other than ID, we usually try to give a name also. This name will be very important, and usually we give ID and name same. It's up to you. You can change that one as well. So we can give name as well to that one. Now there are other attributes of this input box. There is one called placeholder. Placeholder is very interesting. Enter your name here. Now see here what happens. Understand placeholder? There will be some text that is automatically appearing inside your inside your text box. Enter your name here. Hello, or whatever. Hello. Very bad spellings, anyhow. So you see that message will be printed over there, which goes away when I type something, but it will be there unless I type something. So this is a very good help that you want to give to user, that enter your name here. So now user will know that, okay, what I have to enter over here. And again, I refresh this, it will autofocus. Now, there is another attribute, max length. Max length is equal to 30. What does that mean? So if I start giving character 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at 30, it will stop. It is not going anywhere else. So it has just taken 30 letters. If I don't give this max length, you will see what happens. If I save this, I'm looking at that, it keeps on taking the input, which is not desirable. You always want to just, limit some input, because, so if you want to do that, you can do that by using max length. Max length is equal to 30. Now it will just take 30 letters. And after 30 letters, it will stop. You see, it is not accepting any other letters. Right. Now the last, or maybe there are more than that. So there is another one. This is called tab index, and which is very interesting. Tab index is 1. If I set tab index to 1, it means whenever on this page, whenever I'll hit a tab, this will be the first one to select it. And I'll tell you when I'll create more than. So first name, now this is fair enough for that one. Now I'll create, for example, email. I'll create for after that for email. So label, first of all, label. You remember? So I'll call it email and I'll write email over it. Right? So input type. Input type is equal to, rather than text, you can write email over here. There is input type is equal to email. That will appear over there. Now, I can set all those attributes over there. ID is equal to, what ID I should give to it? Because I want to attach it to the email label. So I'll just give email. Right? And now you see here, this email is also highlighted over there. Now, other attributes, I don't want to set it autofocus because you can set one as autofocus. Email. Now, I don't want to give any placeholder in email, or you can just give that placeholder as well. But I'm not giving any placeholder over there. So not max length. Just I want to give tab index now. Tab index is equal to 2.
Your call will be recorded for quality and training purposes. If you know your party's extension, please enter it now. Please listen to all the options before making your selection.
Okay, and please don't call when you are attending a lecture. You are right now making a call to someone.
For Shoppers Drug Mart or Shoppers Home Healthcare store location, press 2. For gift card inquiries, press
Wonderful.
3.
You see how attentively N is taking my class.
Press 4. For customer care related
Wonderful.
inquiries, please
Let's
press
just
5.
listen to his
For
call.
online ordering with beauty at Shoppers Drug Mart, press 6. Or remain on the line to hear these options again.
Leave it. Anyhow, so this is now tab index 2. So for example, now what does that mean, tab index 2? So you see when I hit tab, so this will be the second in the tab. You understand what I mean? So when I hit a tab, so it will be tab index 2. And maybe you can just give that placeholder also. Placeholder will enter your valid email here. Valid email here, right? Something like that. Now this is again another input box. So input box have lots of other features that you can just work on, and they are so wonderful. Yes. So just listen to that one. That's a very interesting question. You didn't get the purpose of name. Let me tell you, you should not be getting the purpose of ID right now. ID right now is just doing it is just connecting it to the label. Listen, what is the purpose of name? When you submit this data, we need to some other page like data.php. That page will receive the information, and where on that page, the first name will be recognized with this name. It will, the other page will get the first name by accessing the value of this name. Vinny, I hope I made my point clear to you. You understand what I mean? When you will submit the data will go, identification of the field on the next page. Identification of the field on the next page. Jiayong, one way or other, you can say that yes, both are same, but it's not rather the exactly the same. ID is more often used for styling and things like that. Styling and accessing in JavaScript. I will tell you that. I'll show you when we'll start DOM manipulation next week. I'll show you that how you do that. But are you making sense of it? That's basically a bit of that concept. Right? Now I want to talk about some other fields. Some other fields. So if I want to take input from the data in a data, for example, so there is a label, and I'm creating label for data. Or not data, date, sorry. Date. So if I want to take date from the user input, right? So there is very interesting fact that input type is equal to date is also there. Right? Input type is equal to date. ID is equal to date. Again, I'm just creating that to make it the part of that one. And name is equal to date. And I hope now you understand the concept of date, name. And tab index equal to, what was the last tab index? It was 2, so it will be 3. 3. Tab index is equal to 3. Now, input type is equal to date. Benefit is what? You will get the calendar over here automatically. You see, you will automatically get a calendar over here, and this calendar will be, you can select the date out of it, and it will just select the date. Right? So input type is equal to date. That's another one. That's another very, very interesting something like that. Okay. Now let's move forward, and I'll be showing you some more interesting fun. Now, if you want to show some data some of the data that is coming from some options, for example, I'll tell you, for example, so let's create a label, and I'll call it program. So I'll just write some fictitious programs into that one. Programs. So student is applying for some program, by the way, right? So programs. So first of all, let's take input, and it will be the type is equal to text, and ID is equal to program, and name is equal to program again, just for our next page. And let's set tab index. tab index equal to 4. You see the programs is coming. Now, I want to show certain programs. When user click on this one, I want to show certain list, a data list. So see here, a very important thing. We can create a data list with this data list attribute, data list, which it usually does not recognize. So you have to create that data list and give it an ID. Programs. So this is, I am creating a data list, and now this data list will contain certain options. Option value is equal to. So for example, you say computer science, something like that. And don't need to give anything over here because that would be accepted over here. So option, and I want to say, for example, HR. And let's take two more. Option value is equal to business and whatnot. Let's take one more and let's call it economics, something like that. So I've created a list over there, right? After creating this list, this is a data list that is created, and I have given an ID to this one. So see, ID is how ID is, how much ID is important. Now in this programs, I will come over here and I can say list equal to, what is the list that I've created? Programs. Now see what happens. What is the benefit of that one? When I come over here, a drop down appears and I get the list of that. Vinny says cool. Vinny, I was expecting this from you. Yeah. So it's basically you can select it from here, computer science, or you can say that I want to just click on that business and something like that. Yes, Clem, you're right. No need to use select if you want. Right. And rest of the things you can. So tab index you have set. So this is the data list. Tab index we have just set. So this is called data list. Now I'll just tell you one more thing, how to upload some file by using HTML. So label for upload. So I will give some uploading something. So upload a file. You need to upload a file, right? So for example, let's create input. So input type is equal to, here I'll say upload, because this upload option will appear. Name is equal to upload, and ID is equal to upload. Upload, right? What else? You might want to set the tab index equal to 5. Again, because I want to put it at the 5th tab index. Now there's a very important, a very important something. So I'm sorry, type is not equal to upload, it's file. Sorry, it's file. Type is equal to file, not upload. Right? So now there is another very important attribute, and that is called accept. What type of document you want to accept? Accept is equal to inverted commas .doc, comma .docx, comma application / PDF. So accept all these type of documents in uploading. You know what I mean? So now if you see here, if I click on that one, you will see it will only show me the Word documents and PDF documents. You see that it's only showing me the Word and PDF documents. You know what I mean? So this choose file will be used over there, and it will only show docx and application PDF. Otherwise, other than that, it will never show anything. And by the way, we are not, right now we are not using any grid or something. So what I'll do is every after control, I'll put a BR so that form looks a bit more organized. So it looks very bad still now, but again, it's just showing all those things. Now the last thing that I want to show here, again, this form is almost one way or other it is done. Now the last thing that you want to do is input type is equal to submit. Submit. Right, a submit button will be created. And again, let's put a break here. Submit. And if you and you can just give a value to this one. Value equal to send data. For example, I'm just showing you. If you do values equal to, so you will get that as an over there. Input type is equal to reset. There is a reset button, and you can give it a value. Remove all. Something like that. So you see, you've got two buttons over here. So as I was telling you, when you fill in the form, okay, it will accept only valid element. So now when you fill the form and you switch send data, you see what it is opening. You see data.php. You remember? Because I have given this action is equal to data.php. And not only that, if you see that it is becoming first name is equal to SDF. I'll show you something very interesting. If you come here and let's put some real data. So Alan at gmail.com, date is 17th, computer science, and send data. Now I would like you to see something. Data.php and send all this information over there. Do you see that? It's a very interesting thing. I'll show you it over here. You see, try to read this. Open data.php, like send this data.php, question mark, first name is equal to Alan and email is equal to Alan at Gmail at is converted to %40 because always it is encoded. And date is equal to this one, and program is equal to computer science, and upload is equal to nothing because I have not given any. So do you understand? When the method is used as get method. Now, remember I told you that when you use the get method, the data goes as part of the URL. The data will go as a part of URL. Now, if you use not get method, rather you use post method, for example, you'll see the difference very shortly. If I send it to the post method, now see here. This is my page, Alan and everything, and send data. Okay, it is not saved, I think. No, it should not send data in that form. Method is equal to post. I did not refresh it, maybe. Oh yeah, ABC, whatever. Date, HR, business, something like that. Yeah. So okay, at the rate. Sorry. You see here. Now, do you see that what is happening over here? Now there is no data over there. It says that data.php is not found and data is not visible under that. Understand, everyone? You remember I talked about that these are the two methods, get and post. Post method sends data as a part, but there is no data.php, so it says that page is not working. But when it was method get, it was accessing that one, not accessing that one. It was at least showing us that how data is going from this page to the other, because it was going as part of my URL. I need to just sorry. You see, now this data is going as part of the URL. Understand, everyone? I hope you understand this one. Okay. Right. So is it yeah? So it makes sense. Right. So I will just stopping here, and so you need to just look at this Monday lecture part 1, which is available over there, and this one is the part 2 that I will just share with you shortly, and we will be just okay, yeah. So as I told you, like I'll just again say that yes, if NBB have a section class after this one at 3:20 something like that, I will be there online on that time, and I will mark the attendance for that session as well. And I will just I can discuss any problems if you have. I will discuss in that. But your live class will be always on Monday. You know what I mean? So today I'll just I'll be there at 3:20. You join your class and I'll discuss it over there. Don't worry about that, right? Okay, so now I'm just stopping recording. And again, for you, ZEE section students, please remember that you have to join now Monday class as well. Your both attendance will be counted now. So join that. That I'll be there for some time. You can ask your questions, and you can just do anything.